Know that you guys have seen this all over your timelines, having conversations in your group chats with your colleagues. This is just one of those situations that's just we cannot not talk about. So we have a clip. We're gonna play. Oh, well, actually, before we do that, let's play the clip and then we'll come back and we will unpack everything. This clip is going to talk about Chris Rock finally speaking out following Will Smith slapping the shit out of him at the Oscars. Let's go.
With paparazzi monitoring his every move,
Chris, you ready for tonight,
Chris Rock addressed the sold-out theatre in Boston.
I'm still kind of processing what happened at some point. I'm talking about it. And, it'll be serious, it'll be funny.
Zoom, Chris, zoom!
We literally cheered for like 20 minutes.
Oh, wow!
That awful moment seemingly good for business. More tickets sold for his show overnight than there were in the entire month previous. Comedy clubs around the country making their feelings clear. Criticism of the Oscars mounting, even from its hosts. In a now-deleted post, Amy Schumer praised Chris Rock and said she's still triggered and traumatised.
For them to let him stay in that room and enjoy the rest of the show and accept his award, I was like, how gross is this?
The Academy's Board of Governors meeting today, releasing a statement apologising to Chris Rock and saying Mr Smith was asked to leave the ceremony and refused. We also recognise we could have handled the situation differently.
Man, where y'all want to go with this? That's what I want to know. Let's get some comments because we could go anywhere. Because first of all, Amy Schumer, this ain't about you. Well, we're not going to center the white woman in this discussion at all. I'm also not mad at Will Smith, man. Look, it was a calculated decision, man. Was it the right decision? Probably not, but he did what he had to do. Will Smith showed how easy Look, man, there's so many layers to this. Let's just start with Will Smith's headspace and where Will Smith was. We got to go all the way back. When Will Smith first came out as a rapper, while the West Coast was doing the gangster rap, Will Smith was over here rapping about how parents just don't understand. And it made him kind of cheesy, man. And people called him soft. And then if you flash forward, he's dating Jada and everybody knows about her relationship with Tupac. And then we get those comparisons and then boom, then again, Will Smith is soft. And then we get the whole situation with the red table talks and Jada talks about how she had an entanglement with August Alsina. And then Will Smith literally becomes a meme because he's sitting at the red table and he's crying as his wife talks about sleeping with another man. And then again, we arrive at the place of Will Smith being soft. Then in 2016, Will Smith does the movie Concussion, where he used a horrible accent. Like, Concussion was a terrible movie. I really don't understand why he expected to win an Oscar for Concussion. It was awful. But he didn't show up to the Oscars because he didn't get the nomination. Jada also didn't show up. And then Chris Rock cracks the joke about how can Jada boycott the Oscars when she wasn't invited in the first place. And again, somebody's cracking on his woman. Now he looks soft. So in this moment right here, it's all of this stuff that's built up. It's this whole image that Will Smith has had. And now you're right here in this moment. You're sitting in the front row. Everybody knows that Will Smith and Chris Rock are actually homies. He probably let them know, like, bruh, don't do none of that funny stuff tonight. And what happens? The comedian tells a joke. Comedians have to be allowed to tell jokes, man. I definitely think Will Smith took this too far. I understand she has alopecia, but you are sitting in the front row and the comedian has a microphone. Comedians are going to tell jokes. You can't always just get up there and slap them. And shout out to Chris Rock for handling like that, man, because you also got to remember, Will Smith is at the Oscars as a nominee. Chris Rock is at the Oscars as a presenter. which means Will Smith is at the Oscars as an audience member and Chris Rock is at work. You can't pop off at work. No matter what Chris Rock would have done in response, that would have reflected his future employment. He's at work, so he did what he had to do. But I think the whole thing is honestly blown all the way out of proportion. I think the Oscars themselves have to take some level of responsibility. I mean, they chose to have this lounge-style seating arrangement. Had they have just had regular theater seats, I don't think he would have got up and stepped over 20 people to get to the middle aisle to then go to the stage. But because he's sitting at a lounge with a direct shot at the stage, he just hops up, and the next thing we know, Chris Rock is getting smacked. Also, what's up with the Oscars thinking that they're too highfalutin to need security? Y'all don't got security at the stage. The Grammys got security at their stage. Everywhere else you go, you're not about to just walk on stage and smack somebody. But the Oscars, they're so sacred, they think can't nobody get smacked. Yeah, right. Cuddy, man, can we get some comments? Throw some comments on, man. What y'all talking about out there, man? How y'all feeling?
Yeah. So listen, I agree with you, Mike, that this definitely was taken too far. But let's break this down a little bit, right? Will and Jada Smith have been through a tumultuous time, I think, in the last 2 years, especially when we think about Jada having an affair or a relationship with August Alsina, and then having to defend that relationship or entanglement, rather, in front of the eyes of America at Red Table Talk. We watched Will Smith defend his wife in that moment and say, you know what, despite her transgressions and despite the fact that she had this relationship or entanglement with August Alsina, I stand by her, I love her, and we plan to work on our relationship. And so when I want to unpack this a little bit, because I feel like that's important when we talk about relationships. Once Will Smith decided to stay with his wife following her infidelity, he got berated online that people felt like he was soft, when really he made a decision to stand and choose love. Now, what we do know about relationships is that when you do go through your trials and tribulations, your conversations thereafter are heightened, right? And so the way that he loves his wife, the way that she loves her husband, there has to be some offline conversations that they're having with each other in order to trigger him in that capacity. So now let's talk about the night in question. They're at the Oscars. Before he even stepped into the Oscars, if you go to Will Smith's social media, he said in his social media that him and Jada were choosing chaos for the night, and they were real hyped up. You could just tell their chemistry and everything was on the one. And I would argue that they had a couple drinks and maybe a little something else, right? They're sitting at the Oscars. Chris Rock says his joke. The joke wasn't funny. It wasn't funny even if she didn't have alopecia. But the fact that she does have alopecia, and if you notice, Jada's whole entire body just transitioned. Will and Jada must have had conversations where Jada felt like Will was not stepping in to defend her. And that is what triggered him to hop up on that stage and slap the dog shit out of Chris Rock. Now, let's also add in that Chris Rock was talking cash junk about Jada at the Oscars before, saying that she wasn't even invited. And why would she make criticisms about boycotting the Oscars? All of this taken into account. Now, I'm not giving Will Smith a pass whatsoever to choose violence. But what I am saying is, if we are going to have conversations about protecting Black women, he absolutely did the right thing in stepping up and taking care of his wife. Had this happened at an after party and it wasn't televised on national TV, I would have been all over it. But the fact that he did this on an international stage for people all around the world to see and judge, even though Black people are not a monolith, this is the worst decision that he could have made in his career by far. Initially, I didn't have those feelings, but now I'm absolutely just like crushed by this. I'm hurt for Will Smith. I'm hurt for Chris Rock. I'm hurt for all of the Black people that were honored and recognized at the Oscars that we're not even having conversations about. Like, we lost so much in that moment because that slap overshadowed every single thing, and it just ghettofied the whole situation, and it makes it look like the first time we had all of this beautiful Black boy and Black girl magic at the Oscars, and the whole night, you know, we had Will Packer, you know, kind of being like this premier person putting it together, and it's just like, you get this feeling like, see, this is what happens when you let Black people finally have some shit. You know what I'm saying? And so that is how I felt. And I'm very disappointed in Will in terms of being triggered so deeply, because it was an overreaction. Like, he super overreacted. He could have said, don't talk about my MFing wife, period. Like, he could have said that and not got up and physically assaulted Chris Rock. But because he got up there and did that, it was like, whoa, you took that like way too far. You know what I'm saying? It was just.
You're so right. You're so right. And it makes me upset, to be honest, that we have to be in this place as Black people, because white people can do whatever they want and it's always individual. It's never like, yo, we ain't never sat here and said, this reflects bad on the white community. Nah, it's never that, because white folks are never relegated to just being a quote unquote community. I don't even like the phrase, the Black community, because what does that even mean? Nobody else has that. You know what I'm saying? It's just us. So when you look at the fact that how many years before this was it always hashtag Oscars so white? It had been Oscars so white for so long. And then this year we get the Black producers, and we get the Black man that's about to win Best Actor. And it's bigger than that, because the movie, he portrayed Venus and Serena Williams' father, and they're in the audience. And it's just so hard. Like, why does it always have to be like this for Venus and Serena? The last time this movie got an award, you had that white lady get up there and say that other weird stuff that she said. This time that movie is getting an award, and Will Smith decides to go smack Chris Rock. It's like they keep getting overshadowed in all of this. And on this night, this magnificent night where you got all of this Blackness, everything that you just mentioned, he had to go do this in this time. And even though it's not fair to say, you let Black folks run the Oscars and this is what happens, unfortunately, that's just the narrative, because that's the society that we live in. And we as Black people don't have the power to control that narrative. So you see Judd Apatow tweet saying that he could have killed him, which is like the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. Yet that's what he said. That's how he feels. And you got Amy Schumer making her comments, and you got all these other white folks in Hollywood talking about how appalled they are. And you got folks acting like they should take Will's Oscar away, even though we could go down the list of problematic white folks that have Oscars, including the white dude that had sex with an underage girl and then fled the country, and he still won an Oscar and he still got to keep it. So like, taking this Oscar away is ridiculous. But when you have Black folks, the conversation just booms, when really we should be sitting here laughing, man. Like, we should be able to see the comedy in this and see the funny, but because of where we are as a society, now we got to sit here and reflect and make this all serious.
So let's take a look at Will Smith's apology. Let's go ahead and throw that up. So Will Smith released an apology to Chris Rock following this. I hope, Cody, do you have it? He said, violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are a part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I'm embarrassed, and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be. There is no place for violence in a world of love and kindness. If we can just get the next one. Nope, Will's, the next Will one. Hopefully I sent that to you. Okay.
Yeah, that picture is hilarious.
Well, and then So let's go ahead and put up, I mean, since we have it, this is what Jada posted on her Instagram. She said, "This is a season for healing, and I'm here for it." Listen, I honestly don't, I feel like the more I've sat in this, the more like I understand this narrative of people being disappointed, right? And I just can't say that I'm not disappointed, but I'm also the person who like gets in a fight or an argument and I wake up disappointed in myself, which is why I have so much empathy for Will, because I understand that he's like, why the heck did I do that? He has so much to lose and so much on the line, and he's had almost a blemish free career for all of the time that he's been in show business, and to make this huge mistake on a international platform on the, I mean, no one's ever going to remember that you won your Oscar. They're just going to remember that the year you won your Oscars, you also slapped somebody on stage, and not even just somebody, like you slapped Chris Rock. Like, Chris Rock is a cool guy and you guys are friends offline. Now, had you wanted to step to Chris and you felt like, listen, my wife got a medical condition and you're going to have to keep her name out your mouth, then have that conversation offline as two men, you know what I'm saying? And kick the bubble with him like that. But to slap him or to physically put your hands on him, I think it just was too much in terms of risking your career and your reputation. And he knows that, you know what I'm saying? And so I honestly think that the apology is remorseful. I don't believe that this whole idea and notion of like my wife's medical condition, I don't know. I don't know if I believe that, but I know that love will make you do crazy things. And I
I
think
agree.
I
I
think
agree. Can we put that comment up by Arlo? Is that the one? Hey, this blew my mind too, though, because Alec Baldwin tried to jump out here with a tweet as if he was outraged by the slap, as if like, yo, bro, you just killed somebody, fam.
bruh, you killed somebody, a whole person. And you were the executive producer of that movie shoot. And
Yes.
you guys decided not to have the safety inspector because you were being cheap as hell. Alec Baldwin, I'm gonna need you to go sit back with your super young wife that you keep having all these kids with, and you guys just sit back and mind your business and let us talk about what's going on. And that's also why why I'm saying this should have never happened in front of company.
Yes.
You know what I'm
You're
saying?
so right.
It just should have never happened in company. Had this happened at an Oscar after party and we heard about it, people fight after parties all the time.
That's what he should have been. That's what he should have
Like,
done.
you guys should have shot the fair one after the party. You should never have diminished your platform. Let me tell you something. Never let your enemy see you sweat. Don't let nobody make you come out your skin like that. And that's why I'm like, I feel like Will was probably off a good one that night. I mean, his adrenaline was pumping. He saw his wife feeling some type of way. I mean, he
Hey,
did.
I think that's what it was, though, to be real. Because when you see the clip, at first he's laughing. And just because he's laughing doesn't mean that he thought it was funny. We've all seen uncomfortable laughter. If you go back and look at that clip of Venus Williams when that white lady said that stuff at the other award show, like, was it Venus or Serena? One of them laughed, but it was a really, really awkward laugh. So I'm not condemning him for laughing, but he looked over at Jada and seen her reaction. And next thing he knew, he was slapping somebody. And the crazy thing too is that, man, look, I'm not opposed to putting your hands on somebody over your wife. I'm just opposed to doing it on stage in front of the cameras at the Oscars, man. I think you're absolutely right, man. They could have shot the fair one. There was so many different places. And also, what's up with the Oscars putting out that ridiculous statement? I do not believe that they asked him to leave and he refused. If somebody asks you to leave, there is no refusing. That ask is accompanied by security guards. Also, if you ask somebody to leave, why do they still get to stay there and receive their award and then go to the official Oscars after party? And at that after party, you play their music while they dance with their Oscar. Yeah, right, man. Stop trying to cover your tracks. You let that man stay. He slapped somebody and y'all did nothing. That's what really happened.
That is precisely what happened. I mean, can you imagine them putting out the main event of their show? I mean,
and that's why they let him stay. They couldn't. What would they have done with the award?
I mean, the whole show was tied up around Will Smith. He knew that. He knew he was getting the Oscar before he even got there. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's why he was off a good one that day. First of all, can we also just say that Jada was looking absolutely stunning and beautiful? And when I saw it, my friends and I were in the group chat and we were talking about how bad she looked. Like, she is looking so good. I did not know that Jada was suffering from alopecia.
I didn't either.
And
I didn't either. She pulled it off so well. I had no idea either.
Good. You're looking good, sis. So I get it. At the end of the day, Chris Rock issued a joke, not a threat, right? And so we could talk to our ass catch on fire. He didn't threaten his wife. So it's not an issue of protecting his wife. He's on stage. He's a comedian. He was talking trash about everybody. Was it a bad joke? Absolutely. Was it a threat? No, it wasn't. Did Will Smith overreact? Absolutely. And so, unfortunately,
overreacted. Chris Rock might not have even wrote that joke. Like, let's be real. Like, this is the Oscars. There's a team of writers. That's the reason why a lot of comedians come to the Oscars and they're kind of corny, because all the jokes have to get approved. And there's other people that write them. When he gets on stage, he's not just shooting it. He's looking at a teleprompter. Like, that joke was there. Somebody okayed it. He read it, and it didn't go over well.
I mean, I do feel bad for Will Smith. I'm going to be honest. I feel like
I feel bad for all of them.
do.
Jada included too, though, because somebody wrote a joke at her expense, and that ain't cool either.
And guess what? They didn't know she had alopecia when they wrote that. Like, honestly, like, they're not going to do that. I mean, but I still stand with this idea that we do need to protect Black women. I am not for the disrespect. And to be quite fair, everybody else's joke, Denzel and everybody else, had nothing to do with their physical appearance. Jada's joke was the only one that had something to do about her physical appearance. And let me tell you something. Please don't talk about a Black woman's hair. That should just be off the table first and foremost. Like, that, whoever wrote that joke should, like, it has no cultural competency whatsoever. That should not have happened whatsoever. And so I understand that the level of disrespect was there. Chris Rock should have filtered that joke out, knowing that you do not talk or discuss a Black woman's hair, especially that ain't your wife, okay? And you doing it in front of company on a national platform, like, it's inexcusable. But it also does not warrant him to be physically assaulted, right? Now, if Will Smith and him needed to have a conversation offline, I get that. You know what I'm saying? I understand that, and I respect that, most importantly. And so what I'm saying is, Will Smith should have had the reaction after the show and not during that, and really just overshadowed everything else that happened.
Comedians got to be able to tell jokes, man. I get what people are saying. I understand, but at the end of the day, comedians have to tell jokes. I think the only standard that we need to hold comedians to is, was it funny? And no, that joke from Chris Rock was not funny at all, but I will always defend a comedian's right to tell jokes, man. And if you don't like it, feel free to say something. You want to check them outside when it's over, do so, but going on stage and slapping a comedian is not cool. And anybody out here that's ever watched an award show knows, like, this is the time. This is what happens, man. Ricky Gervais, is that how you say his name? Man, this fool, man, he flames celebrities whenever he hosts anything. Like, that's what he's known for. So being a celebrity and going here, like, this is the time when y'all get to get made fun of. You're always on your high horse. You come to these shows, we're celebrating you. The MC is gonna make fun of you. You can't go slap him for it.